Hello, and welcome to the Ledco Division of Graphic Laminating Hot Roll Digital 44 Laminator instructional video. This video, used in conjunction with your owner's operator's manual, will help assure the best performance from your new laminator by covering its basic setup, operation, various applications, cleaning, and maintenance. We strongly encourage that you read the manual before using the laminator, keep the manual with the machine, and periodically review the instructions. Important safety precaution. Do not operate this machine until you have read and fully understood all safety precautions as outlined in your owner's operator's manual. Never operate the machine without reminding yourself that a big laminator is a powerful and potentially dangerous tool. If misused, used carelessly, or used without observing the rules of safe operation, very serious injury can result. Setup and operation. With the laminator on an unobstructed level surface and all packing straps, rubber bands, tape, and plastic ties removed from the machine, plug the machine into a proper 208 to 240 volt single phase 30 amp outlet. Remove the feed tray from its packing. Engage the feed tray into the slots of the feed table mounting brackets located at mid-level on the insides of both side panels and gently push the feed tray until it seats. Make sure the safety shield is pushed all the way forward towards the laminating rollers. Turn on the master switch at the back of the machine. Check all 4 emergency stop buttons. They should be in the up position. If the buttons are depressed, turn clockwise slightly until they pop up. To check and adjust the heat controls. With the master switch engaged, first turn on, depress, the top and bottom heat power buttons. They will illuminate as well as the display point value screens. To raise the temperature, press the red button once to display set point value screen. Press the red button again to raise set point value. Hold the red button to raise set point value rapidly. Wait 5 seconds for the actual temperature to be displayed. To lower the temperature, press the red button once to access set point value screen. Press the blue button to lower the set point value. Hold the blue button to decrease the set point rapidly. Then wait 5 seconds for the actual temperature to be displayed. To switch from Fahrenheit to Celsius, hold the blue button for 5 seconds. Use the red button to toggle from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. Wait 5 seconds for actual temperature to be displayed. Be sure not to inadvertently switch from Fahrenheit to Celsius during routine heat adjustments. The laminating and pull rollers are shipped in the open position. Turn the roll pressure control knobs, the large knobs on the right side of the machine, clockwise to engage the rollers. Open and close the rollers several times. Notice that if you turn the knob counterclockwise as far as it will go, the rollers are open. If you turn it clockwise, you can hear and feel the rollers close and lock. Leave the rollers open if you are not going to thread the machine now. Always leave the rollers open when you turn off the machine. Always make sure the rollers are open for shipping. Close the rollers when you are going to thread the machine. Press the forward drive, green, button in. Gradually rotate the speed control knob clockwise and observe the lamination drive rollers to see that they are moving. The pull rollers and the laminating rollers should rotate toward the back of the laminator. To check reverse mode, rotate clockwise the forward reverse selector switch to reverse. Press the reverse button, red, in while the forward drive button is also on, and the speed control knob set at between 10 and 15% on the dial. and the rollers will reverse toward the front of the machine while the button is being depressed. Important: return the speed control knob to 0. Turn off the drive, then turn the heat off and the master switch off. Threading the laminator with thermal, hot film. Although this machine can be threaded cold, many operators feel it's easier to thread while it is warming up or already hot. Remove the feed tray and the supply roll mandrels. The supply roll mandrels are now ready to be loaded with film. There are 4 3-inch diameter stop collars included with the machine. These components are designed to help you conveniently align your top and bottom rolls of film, and can be used to hold your film rolls in place if necessary. Slide a roll of film onto the top supply roll mandrel. Center the roll on the mandrel and place the mandrel in the top bracket. This is a job best done with 2 people, even if the roll of film is not very heavy. Load the bottom roll of film onto the bottom mandrel in the same manner as the top roll. Review the threading diagram in your owner's operator's manual. Remember, the shiny side of the film must always go against the heat rolls. The dull, adhesive side must face away from the heat rollers. With the top heat roll of film centered on the mandrel and the shiny side facing down, pass the film under the idler and then drape it over the top heat roll down past the bottom heat roller. You are now ready to load the bottom supply roll mandrel. Load the bottom roll of film onto the mandrel in the same manner as the top roll. Remember, the shiny side of the film must always go against the heat rollers. The dull adhesive side must face away from the heat rolls. Pass the web under the idler bar near the bottom heat roll. Use extreme care if the heat rolls are already heated up. Pull the bottom web up and drape it over the top web. When the machine is hot, the 2 webs will stick to each other. If threading while cold, use tape to hold the bottom web in place. With both rolls threaded correctly, unwind the top and bottom supply rolls about a half turn each. This will provide enough slack in the web to allow the feed tray to slide in easily. Slide the feed tray into position. Position the safety shield forward toward the heat rolls. Remember, the drive will not engage without the feed table and safety shield in their proper positions. Make sure there is still enough slack in the web. Close the laminating rollers with the 2 large knobs on the right side of the unit. With the film draped over the 2 heat rolls and melted or taped together, push one edge of your threading card between the heat rolls so that the film is firmly positioned against the heat laminating rollers. Make sure the rubber rollers are in the closed position. If a threading card is not available, any piece of cardstock or poster board will work. With the unit plugged in and the master switch turned on, engage the forward drive switch and adjust the speed dial to around 10% on the dial. If the film and the card are in the nip, the point where the laminating rollers meet, the film and the threading card will start into the laminator and will pass through both sets of rubber rollers. When the threading card has cleared the back of the machine, turn off the drive switch. Laminating with thermal, hot film. With the machine plugged in and turned on, set the temperatures for whatever film is being used. In this case, we are using a 3mm film set at around 240 degrees. The laminator will be ready to operate in about 20 minutes. Position the feed guides if needed for precision feeding. You will get the best results by centering items in the web of film. Check and balance the supply roll tension on both rolls. Start by loosening both knobs until there is no pressure on the springs. Tighten each knob until it just begins to press on its spring. For a preliminary adjustment, put 3 or 4 hand turns of tension on each knob. Turn the fans on. Fans should be utilized when laminating with films of 3, 5, or thicker mil. Once the machine has come up to temperature, you are ready to make final adjustments of the supply roll tension. With the heat on, the rollers closed and locked, push the forward drive button and set the speed dial at around 10 to 15%. Watch the film as it passes over the heat rolls. If there is some waviness in the film at the leading edge of both top and/or bottom heat rolls, supply roll tension is perfect. The leading edge would be the top of the top heat roller and the bottom of the bottom heat roller, the edges that first contact the film. If the waviness or wrinkling extends into the laminating rollers, tension needs to be increased. Always keep the amount of tension the same on both rollers. Waviness that extends across 10 to 30% of the heat rollers indicates acceptable supply roll tension. Be sure to adjust the bottom roll evenly as you did the top. Examine the film coming out of the back of the machine. If the film excessively curls up, there is most likely too much supply roll tension on the top, or maybe not enough on the bottom. Adjust accordingly. If the film excessively curls down, there may be too much bottom supply roll tension and not enough top. Again, adjust accordingly. With the supply roll tensions balanced, you are now ready to run a sample of your items to be laminated to check for adequate adhesion and finish. To check adhesion, take a razor knife and score the surface of the lamination in an X pattern. Pull up one of the corners, and if you pull up ink and paper fibers, you have a good adhesion and lamination. If not, you may need to increase the laminating temperature to optimize adhesion. For initial recommended temperature settings, please refer to the film melt temperature chart on page 26 of your owner's operator's manual. Simultaneous hot laminating and mounting. There are several different ways to simultaneously mount and laminate. The one preferred by most experienced users, especially those in digital imaging, is to hot laminate while mounting with a pressure-sensitive or heat-activated mounting board. The advantages of pressure-sensitive mounting for digital imaging applications are covered in the owner's operator's manual. Cut a piece of your pre-coated substrate mounting board slightly larger than your image. Peel back about 4 inches of the release liner on the edge that will be put into the laminator first, the leading edge. Use that exposed adhesive to position and align your image on the board, being careful to keep the leading edge of the image aligned and wrinkle-free. Smooth it down onto the exposed adhesive. The image does not need to be trimmed to final size first, since finished trimming of the board and image will be done together after laminating. With the laminator threaded and up to temperature, the laminator should be set at least 10 to 20 degrees hotter than what you would use on that film for standard laminating. Put the leading edge of the board with its image under the feed strip on the leading edge of the feed tray. The feed strip should lift easily to accommodate substrates up to 1/2 inch thick. With the rollers closed and locked and the speed dial at around 10 to 15%, push the board squarely into the nip. Hold on to the release liner. Do not let the release liner go under the safety shield. Curl of the release liner will help keep the image off the board until it gets close to the laminating nip. Laminating both sides of items help save the setup time that would be wasted in preparing the machine for one-sided lamination. Other problems with one-sided lamination are detailed in your owner's operator's manual. Another advantage of laminating both sides of foam core and some other substrates is that it minimizes the curl that those substrates are subject to over time. No adjustment of the laminating rollers is required because they are spring-loaded. They will open appropriately for any board up to 1/2 inch thick. When using 1/2 inch thick substrates, close the laminating rollers but do not lock them. After the lamination is complete, trim the board and its now resident image to the desired finished dimensions. When using heat-activated mounting boards, thread the laminator and set the laminator 10 to 20 degrees hotter than what you would use on that film for standard laminating. Peel off the protective paper liner from the board and position your image on the board. Gently smooth it out to reduce the risk of bubbles. With the machine up to the appropriate temperature, the rollers closed and locked, the motor drive on, and the speed set at 10 to 15% on the dial, feed the leading edge of the board squarely into the nip of the heated laminating rolls. The heated laminating rolls will grasp the board and image and pull it through the nip, applying the necessary heat and pressure to the over-laminate and the heat-activated adhesive on the board to both laminate the image and securely mount it to the board. The laminated and mounted image then passes through the rear pull rollers and then exits the back of the machine. Let the board cool adequately before final finishing. Another very convenient way to simultaneously mount and hot laminate is to use pre-made mounting laminating boards available from Graphic Laminating Incorporated. These boards come in a variety of popular sizes and consist of a 3/16 foam board pre-laminated on the back to reduce bowing, with an over-laminate flap on top, available in various finishes. Unthread your machine as demonstrated here. Simply place and align your image in position on the board under the laminating flap. And smooth the flap over the image. Close and lock the rollers. With the motor drive on, set the speed at 10 to 15% on the dial. The machine should be set to the appropriate temperature as recommended by the substrate supplier. Now feed the leading edge of the board image over laminate squarely into the nip of the heated laminating rolls. The heated laminating rolls will grasp the board, image, and overlaminate and pull it through the nip, applying the necessary heat and pressure to the overlaminate flap and heat-activated adhesive on the board to both laminate the image and securely mount it to the board. The laminated and mounted image then passes through the rear pull rollers and then exits the back of the machine. Let the board cool adequately before final finishing. After the lamination has adequately cooled, you may now remove the protective pre-mask liner and trim the board and image to the desired finished dimensions. Cold applications. The Hot Roll Digital 44 Laminator is designed to be a cold laminator and mounting device, as well as a hot laminator mounter. Most rolls of cold overlaminates have a single release liner. This release liner will be automatically pulled off the laminate and cleanly up onto a scrap core mounted to the release liner take-up mechanism. If this work is run after a hot laminating job, sometimes a little heat, 100 to 110 degrees, may help the adhesive flow. It is not necessary to allow the machine to cool to room temperature. Slide a roll of film onto the top supply roll mandrel, turning the roll slightly to slide the grippers inside the core. Center the roll and make sure the adhesive side of the film is facing upward. Then take a 3-inch scrap core and mount it to your release liner take-up using the core chucks to secure in place as shown here. Make sure when using a PSA cold laminate with a liner that the film has been threaded underneath the top idler bar. Separate the liner from the adhesive part of the film from under the upper idler roll. For easier threading, use a piece of scrap paper that has been slid through the pull rollers, then the laminating rollers, and tack that onto the leading edge of your PSA material. And tape the liner to a 3-inch scrap core mounted to your release liner take-up. Then go to the back of the machine and pull the scrap paper and leading edge of PSA to remove excess slack. Now close the rollers and lower the safety shield into place. Turn the drive switch on and set the speed control dial to around 10 to 15% on the dial. Carefully monitor the unwind of the laminate as it comes off the supply roll, over the laminating roll, and into the nip. You are now ready to run some expendable sample sheets through to adjust the supply roll and release liner take-up tensions. Remember, when laminating only one side, you must not allow exposed adhesive to go into the machine. Make sure the material being coated is at least as wide as the roll of film. Continue to monitor the laminate as it travels through the front laminating rollers all the way through the rear pull rollers. Adjust supply roll tension as needed to eliminate wrinkling of the laminate as it passes over the laminating roll. Similarly, adjust the release liner take-up tension via the release liner tension control knob to adequately pull the release liner off the laminate and cleanly roll it up onto the release liner take-up core. When your laminating is complete, be sure to run some more expendable sample sheets as wide as your laminate to eliminate the chance of the exposed adhesive sticking to the rolls. Before moving on to our next cold application, remove the clear over laminate from the machine as shown here. Cold mounting. The hot roll digital 44 laminator can be used to apply adhesive film or application tape to mounting boards. Boards can also be purchased pre-coated with pressure-sensitive adhesives and a release liner, as shown earlier in this video. Slide a roll of your adhesive film, application tape, onto the top supply roll mandrel, turning the roll slightly to slide the gripper inside the core. Center the roll and make sure the adhesive side of the film is facing upward. Thread the machine by putting a large piece of scrap paper or cardboard through the open rollers. Stick the adhesive to this threading card. Close the rollers, and you're now ready to laminate. Begin to feed the mounting boards, butting each up against the one ahead. Cut the boards apart with a utility knife at the back end of each board. Once your boards are coated, or if you have bought them pre-coated, you are ready to mount any graphic as illustrated earlier in this video. Application of transfer tape to signage. The hot roll digital 44 laminator makes application of transfer tape to signage a breeze. Making sure the adhesive side of the film is facing upward. Slide a roll of the transfer tape onto the top supply roll mandrel, turning the roll slightly to slide the gripper rods inside the core. Center the roll. Thread the machine by putting a large piece of scrap paper or cardboard through the open rollers. Stick the pre-mask adhesive to this threading card, close the rollers, and you are ready to laminate. Turn the forward drive button on and set the speed control knob at between 10 and 15% on the dial. Start by feeding scrap paper at least as wide as the pre-mask as to not start a wraparound on the rollers. And adjust the unwind tension as needed to remove any wrinkles from the material. Continue to monitor the laminate as it travels through the front laminating rollers all the way through the rear pull rollers, and adjust supply roll tension as needed to eliminate wrinkling of the laminate. With your pre-mask now running smooth and wrinkle-free, you can take your pre-weeded vinyl signage and slowly introduce it to the nip. The laminating rollers will grasp the signage, pulling it through to the pull rollers and then out the back of the machine. Once the signage is passed through the machine, you should keep feeding scrap paper so that the adhesive does not start a wraparound on the rollers. You may now trim away the pre-cut vinyl signage and pre-mask, and it is ready to be applied to a substrate or signboard. Before applying the pre-mask vinyl signage to a signboard, unthread the laminator as shown here. The vinyl signage should be placed on the substrate, signboard, release liner side down, and aligned the way it is to appear on the substrate. Create a hinge by securing the leading edge of your transfer tape signage to the substrate. Peel back 2 inches of your release liner and slide the positioned end of the board into the laminator. Holding the secured graphic up with one hand. Using your free hand, gently pull away the release liner as the machine pulls the substrate through. Note: masking tape can be used to help secure pesky graphics to the board. Slowly start the laminator and pull the release liner off the signage as the machine pulls the substrate through. Remove the liner slowly. With the signage held up at a slight angle to the feed tray, from the point where it curls under the safety shield, the release liner can easily be separated from the signage at this point. The safety shield serves as a kind of guide for removing the release liner in this application. Holding the signage up at an angle against the bottom of the safety shield as the machine pulls the material into the rollers also keeps the vinyl adhesive off the substrate until it reaches the rollers, ensuring a bubble-free application. Retrieve the finished vinyl signage from the back of the machine, as it is now ready to be trimmed to desired finished dimensions. Be sure to remove the protective pre-mask liner before final finishing. Cold mounting. Using your pre-coated boards, as shown earlier, or if you have bought them pre-coated, you are ready to mount any graphic. Peel back about 2 inches of the release liner on one end of the board. Use this exposed adhesive to position the laminated graphic on the board. Close and lock the rollers for any substrates up to 3/16 of an inch. Substrates over 3/16, the rolls should be closed but not locked. Turn the drive on and set the speed dial to about 10 or 15% on the dial. Slide the positioned end of the board into the laminator, holding the graphic up with one hand. Pull off the release liner before it goes into the nip. Monitor the image as it goes through the laminating rollers and out the pull rollers. Pick up the mounted item at the back of the machine. Trim away the unwanted portions of the graphic and the board at the same time, as shown earlier in this video. Cleaning and basic maintenance. Danger! Always use extreme caution when performing cleaning or maintenance on your machine. Always make sure the machine is turned off and unplugged and that there is no power to the machine when working on or cleaning any part of the unit. Use extreme caution to avoid hot surfaces, which may remain hot for a period of time even if there is no power to your machine. Use extreme caution to avoid pinch points at the nip rollers. Never have rubber rollers turning while performing maintenance to your machine. Never wear loose clothing, ties, or jewelry, which could become entangled in gears or rubber rollers while performing maintenance or cleaning on your machine. Cleaning the rubber rollers. With the film removed from the laminator and the machine allowed to cool to room temperature, turn off the master power switch and unplug the machine. To best clean and condition the rubber rollers, we strongly suggest using the special cleaner, Cool Clean X241, available from Graphic Laminating Incorporated. Cool Clean is designed for cleaning the rolls cold, eliminating the possibility of burning one's fingers on hot roller surfaces. Remove the feed tray for easier access to the front laminating rollers. Simply wet a clean, sturdy shop cloth with the Cool Clean solution and rub down the rolls. The special formula will effectively lift built-up adhesive and dirt from the surface of the rollers. Turn the rollers by hand to access and clean the entire circumference of the rubber roller surface. For stubborn adhesive buildup, Cool Clean can be used in conjunction with the mildly abrasive Scotch-Brite cleaning pad included in the cleaning kit. Use Cool Clean to coat the persistent built-up area, then rub firmly, but do not scrub the rollers vigorously as this might mar the surface. Do not use sharp metal objects or steel wool as these will also mar the rollers. Cool Clean is available from Graphic Laminating Incorporated. Please call 1-800-345-5300. You can now clean the bottom rollers in the same manner as you did the top. The pull rollers should also be cleaned in the same manner. With the machine turned off, turn the rollers by hand. Access the pull rollers from the back of the machine in between the pull roll guard and back motor cover. Lubrication. With the machine turned off and unplugged, access the drive chain and sprockets by removing the Phillips head screws that secure the left side housing cover to the housing. The drive chain and sprockets on all models should receive a light coat of gear lube or heavy grease, preferably lithium grease, after each 1,000 hours of operation. Lubricate as shown here. This now concludes the Ledco Hot Roll Digital 44 Laminator instructional video. We hope you have found it instructional as well as mildly entertaining. If you have any questions about this or any other Ledco product, please call us toll-free at 1-800-937-9697 or visit us online at www.ledcoinc.com or call Graphic Laminating toll-free at 1-800-345-5300 or visit us online at www.graphiclaminating.com. Thank you and have a pleasant existence.